And from my upbringing and my ex-husband's upbringing, we had what would be called an abusive relationship. My children experienced an abusive relationship. I experienced my mother and her abusive relationship, and my mother experienced her grandmother in an abusive relationship. And not knowing what a generational curse was, I repeated what I knew. I was married for 9 years before I divorced. And one of the last things that happened between me and my ex was he tried to choke me to death. And so as I was taking my last breath and the lights were becoming dim, God intervened and he let go. And finally I asked God for help because I couldn't climb out the walls. And so I got this book called The Purpose-Driven Life. And I started reading it. And I realized as I was reading it, I don't even know who Jesus is. I don't even know what it's like to have a relationship with God. I realized as I was reading this and I was going through my life that I never even knew what it was like to pray, to walk with God. And so as I'm reading this book called The Purpose-Driven Life, it's teaching me how to have a real tangible relationship with this invisible God. I was praying that. I said, God, I give myself back to you. I give my kids back to you. Have your way, have your will with me. Do whatever you want with me. It's yours. I had a vision. I saw myself in a stadium. So imagine a football stadium, but times a million. And it was all Christians. The football stadium was filled. It was Christians just in the stadium. And Jesus was standing there. And Jesus was standing there in the stadium. And everybody was screaming and yelling. It was like the best football game when your team was winning. Like everybody was in a roar. And as Jesus was standing, he was going around and he was picking people. So he was going up and down the aisles and he was picking people. And he picked one person right there and they would come down to the middle. And everybody's just screaming, everybody just wanted to be picked. And we didn't know what God was picking them for, but it was for Jesus. So it had to be amazing. We just wanted to be picked. And as God was going around, he finally came over to my section. And when God came over to my section, he looked at me and then he kept going. And it was like he was examining every part of every person. And either you had something or you didn't, but you didn't know what he was looking for. So he looks at me and he doesn't see it apparently and he walks off. And my heart breaks. And so as I stood there, just being heartbroken that I didn't have whatever he needed. So about a month later, August 1st, 2015, I'm sitting in my room. And as I'm sitting in my room, I'm playing and I'm building my roadside kids. And as I'm sitting in my room, I hear God's audible voice say, place your hand upon your heart and stop the blood clot the devil planted in your heart to kill you tonight. And immediately I knew it was him, and I just placed my hand upon my heart and I said, God, I bind up the blood clot that the devil planted to kill me tonight. And then I just went back to working with my kids. Then I laid down and I went to sleep. When I woke up that morning, I opened up my eyes, and in my doorway, immediately I knew the figure that was standing in my doorway was the spirit of death. I immediately knew that I had died. It's not questionable. I didn't wonder or worry if I was alive or not. I knew I was dead, and I knew he came to get me. And so I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. I'm okay that I died, but why are you here? Why isn't my daddy here? Why isn't God here? I'm going to heaven. I'm saved. I'm going to heaven. I'm saved. I received Jesus Christ, my Lord, and Savior. I'm going to heaven. So as I sat there in confusion, then it turned to anger. Then it turned to bitterness because it was done. I'm dead. And he's coming to get me. He's coming to take me. So I sat there and I'm like, no, and I'm fighting it. I'm in my room. I'm trying to jump out the window. I'm trying to get past the spirit of death. And he just stood there. And it was almost like he was like, take your time, because it's final. It's over. Take as long as you want. You can try to run through the door. You can try to break the window. Do whatever you want, but it's done. And so I fought for my life. I cried out. I was in confusion. God, where are you? What is going on? Why? I'm screaming. I'm screaming for my life. And I know that it's final. And I don't know why I'm going to hell.